Thank you for joining us today on the August 6th, 2020 business meeting. And the link to the agenda is, I don't necessarily read that. Yeah, www.clackamas.us/meeting/business/2020-0808. And I'd like to call the meeting to order and have our County Administrator, Gary Schmidt, please take the roll.
Yes, thank you, Chair. First, our staff support today, Christina Twilliger, Clerk to the Board, Sean Lilligren, County Counsel. Additional staff support, Kimberly Dinwiddie, Mary Rathke, Garrett Teague. Yes, so roll call. Chair Bernard.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader. You're on mute.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Savas.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Commissioner Humberston.
Here.
Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again for joining us. We're holding this meeting virtually. If you've joined us on a Zoom app for this meeting and you are interested in providing public comment, we will prompt you regarding how to do that when the time is right. You will have the option of providing your comment to us live. Alternatively, anyone can send a comment to be read during public communication portion of our meeting over email. Just send us at any time during the meeting by email to clacconews@clackamas.us. Be sure to include your name and the area where you live. The first item is Gary.
Yes, we'll start with COVID-19 updates. We have Nancy Bush, Director of Disaster Management and Incident Commander of our Emergency Operations Center, and Dr. Sarah President, our Clackamas County Health Officer. Please go ahead, Nancy.
All right, thank you, and good morning, everyone. So I'm going to get started with our numbers, and the increases that I'm going to be mentioning are since Monday. So Oregon has 19,979 positives, which is up 613. 338 deaths, which is up 10. There's 406,823 negatives. Clackamas County has 1,464 positives, and that is up 43. We have 38 deaths now, which is up 2, and 39,167 negatives. Multnomah County has 4,608 positives, which is up 111, 93 deaths, 89,780 positives. Washington County has 2,921 positives, which is up 72. There are 24 deaths, 57,697 negative. Statewide hospitalizations is now at 163, which is consistent. And we have 47 of those that are in ICU beds, which is up 1. 21 are on vents, which is actually down 5. And adult ICU beds that are statewide that are available is 151, which is down 19. Vents available statewide are 762, which is down 20, out of 762 that are staffed. Some of the things that are just going on here in the EOC, our Human Services branch has now hired a COVID equity focusing on housing supervisor with some CARE dollars that we received through H3S. We are also currently looking for a place to assemble food boxes. We need a little bit larger facility. So we're going to be working, we're going to be creative and looking for a place where we can put our food boxes together. And our behavioral health unit is working with our liaison unit on a toolkit for suicide prevention as we move forward. And then we'll be working with our EOC PIO on getting that information out. So Kimberly, if you could bring up the metrics now. So we did get our new metrics last night, which have been shared with each of you. And at this time, we have, I believe we're missing 3. There we go. Thank you. So the Tri-County area, we are now missing 3 of the 4, which includes the percent increase in new cases in the last 7 days, percent of cases not traced to a known source in the last 7 days, and percent of cases in the last 7 days will follow up within 24 hours. Clackamas County is also missing 3 of the 6. We have a trend now in percent of tests that are positive in the last 7 days. Percent of cases not traced to a known source. That number, that 40% is better than what we were seeing last week, but we're still over that 30% mark. And percent of cases in the last 7 days with a follow-up within 24 hours is now down to 92%. So Kimberly, if you can take us down to Multnomah County. So Multnomah County is also, there we go, thank you. Missing 3. We have the 14% here, which I believe is I'm sorry, this is the number of cases. The 51% is the number of cases not traced back. And this, I'm sorry, I can't remember that 14%. My mind went blank. A percent of new cases in the last 7 days. Thank you. And then they are also not meeting the 95% for the cases that are being traced within the or they've talked to them in the last 24 hours. And on Washington County, so Washington County is missing 2 of the 6. And so we have the number of cases that cannot be traced, and then the 60%, which is also consistent with what's going on with Clackamas and Multnomah County. And I'm going to turn this over now to Dr. Sarah Present. And I think Dr. Present, if you want this left up for a few minutes, you can just let Kimberly know.
No, I think Kimberly, if you have the PowerPoint, I have some other data to show you in a visual form. But I think, you know, although the checks and X's are not ideal, I think all 3 counties actually show some stability over the last week. The last time I spoke with you guys was 2 weeks ago. I believe I didn't see you last week, and I was in a state of a bit of nervousness when things were really feeling like they were getting worse. I have to just say my gut feeling right now is the last 2 weeks have continued to be steady and busy, but not the same sort of trajectory of increase that we were seeing the last time that I was speaking with you. Things really have gotten a bit more stable. I wanted to show you, we've been working on trying to make the data for Clackamas County a little bit more transparent and easy to digest and visual. I believe that Nancy talked to you about our outbreaks a little bit on Tuesday, but I just wanted to show you, here are 2 columns. The first column is the week of July 20th to 26th. The second column is July 27th to August 2nd. So these data will now be pulled on Mondays. This is Clackamas County only, so this can be a little bit discordant from the data points you may see from OHA, just based on the days that they pull weekly data and what has happened in the last couple of days as far as follow-up on cases. So I'm going to look at the second column, which is last week. You can see that the percent of household contact, or the percent of cases who were household contacts to other known cases was at 20%, and sporadic was at 38%. Again, that feeling I have of things being a little bit more stable. I think the week prior, we were at 51% were sporadic. Prior to that, it was somewhere around 60. So our sporadic cases do seem to be going down. Again, it really takes several weeks to show a trend. I can't say that this is a trend or if it was just a good week. 26% of the cases were associated with outbreaks that were directly related to the outbreak. And then the second generation, that 7%, is other contacts of people in the outbreak. So they are still counted in the outbreak if they are, say, a household member of an individual that is connected with an outbreak. That household member is the second generation case that's still counted in that outbreak case number. And then close contacts were not household, 10%. I wanted to talk to you about the interviewed status. I know there's a lot of questions about people not wanting to to answer their phones or not wanting to do the interviews. And we do still have some people refusing. The vast majority of people that we do contact are willing to give us, to do the interview with us and do the contact tracing. But the unable to reach is a significant amount. These are people who just do not answer their phone. We'll call 3 times and send certified letters to try to find people. If there are other routes that we have to find people, we certainly do the best that we can. But if we are unable to reach them, we cannot interview them. And that last week was 10%. The prior week was 20% of the cases we were unable to reach. So we don't have information on where they got it or how they got it, or we don't have the ability to control the spread for those cases and ensure that their contacts are informed if we can't reach them. So just a shout out to everyone to please answer your phone and please check your emails.
The doctor, I have a question. They do know that they are positive, though.
So we as a public health department are not directly doing testing unless, except in some very specific outbreak settings. So all of these people have been tested by a healthcare provider, and that healthcare provider's duty is to let them know what the result of their test is.
Right.
If we are unable to reach them, we also can't confirm that they have their results. However, oftentimes we do have interactions with the healthcare providers as well. And if they are unable to reach a patient, oftentimes they'll let us know as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Kimberly, next slide, please. This is a breakdown of the types of outbreaks we have. Workplaces, most of these are sort of the smaller work sites. Food and farm are food processing places, and agriculture. LTCF is long-term care facility. Child DCC is childcare and daycare centers. And then social and other are the smaller family parties. So when I spoke with you 2 weeks ago, that last column or that last row, the social and other, was greater. We have actually, again, based on this data and based on just what I'm hearing, we're really focusing on these smaller work sites as far as the outbreaks at this point. Excuse me, next slide, please. Here we have daily case counts. And so I put the 2 weeks together so you can see each day from July 20th all the way through August 2nd. Again, sort of hanging stable around that 20. When I last spoke to you 2 weeks ago, we were hitting 30 more often. We have a few days here of 29, 27, 26 that are still high, but again, not a huge increase that I'm seeing over the last couple of weeks. And then the last 3 days, August 3rd, we had 21, August 4th, we had 21, and August 5th, we had 20. Thank you. Next slide. I do want to take a minute and talk about schools in this forum. I'm sure that all of you have heard about the school metrics, and most of those listening and watching have heard about school metrics, but I did want to give us a chance to talk about it here and just clarify that what the metrics are and be willing to answer questions. So for in-person school, these metrics must be met for any school in our county to have any sort of in-person activity. If these metrics are not met, they need to have comprehensive distance learning for when school starts. So the county metrics, and I'm sorry, this got a little bit messy on the county must have a case rate of equal to or less than 10 cases per 100,000 population in the last 7 days. And that's really averaged over a 3-week period. So when we look at the last 2 days, it's really hard to get that data. So we look at the week prior to the week that we're looking in, and it needs to be averaged over, we look back 3 weeks to get an average of at least 2 weeks of 10 or less per 100,000 per week. And a percent positivity of less than or equal to 5%. Clackamas County has not been over 5% very often, so we are looking really quite good there. The state metric, however, in order for any school in the state to open, needs to have a percent positivity of less than or equal to 5 in the preceding 7 days as well. Next slide, please. There are some exceptions to this, and only in the case if there's not active spread in a particular school. If the case rate is less than 30 cases per 100,000 and the test positivity is less than 5% positive in the past 7 days, and they're fully complying with the Ready School Safe Learner guidance, then in-person education for K through 3rd grade is acceptable. Certain rural private schools with less than 100 students may be able to have in-person learning. We have very few that would meet that criteria, if any. And then there is an opportunity to provide on-site limited in-person learning for specific groups, such as children with disabilities of various sorts that would really benefit from that in-person learning. So that needs to be under 30 per 100,000 in our county, and all the other metrics for the state and for the state to allow schools to have in-person learning. So next slide, please. And this is my last one, and then I will stop and answer questions. So these metrics over the last few weeks, just so you can see, Oregon statewide is above that 5% positivity. Clackamas has been under, but until the state metric is below 5%, then none of the schools in our state should be having in-person distance learning, or unless, yeah, there may be state exceptions that we don't have in our county. Case rate per 100,000, we have been steadily just over 30. So just to be clear, none of our schools in our county should be having in-person distance learning until that number is under 30 and the statewide number of the test percent positivity is under 5 for 3 weeks. I'll stop talking and take questions.
So I'm going to start because I had a conversation last night with at least one of the chairs. There was a rumor that the governor was going to move us back to stay home, stay safe. Call was made. We're assured that long before this took place, there would be a conversation. So the governor will not be doing that. We'll know before she even considers it. And so that rumor is false. Secondly, last night, Nancy Bush suggested that both you and her thought that it might be time to write a letter suggesting that we uncouple with Washington Multnomah County. I brought that up last night with Catherine. Deborah had many challenges last night, so she couldn't join us. But I told them that on Friday, I'd tell them why. Because we just sent a letter to the governor suggesting that as a group, if they're going to have us on a watch list, then they ought to provide funding, not only for Clackamas County, which we don't have, but funding to provide deeper analysis about why these issues are happening with families, with businesses, and other things. So and then after seeing today's analysis, it looks like maybe we're not quite ready for that letter, but I see Nancy has her hand up.
I do. I have one correction, and it was Kimberly Dinwiddie and I that had that conversation. I had the conversation a little bit later with Dr. Present and asked her about the public health piece. So I just wanted to correct that part.
Okay, but does Dr. Present agree that it might be time to send a letter?
I will let her answer that question.
I know.
Thank you. I do think that the idea of uncoupling at this point is not a public health based one. I think that there are financing and economic reasons that are not really in my purview from the public health data. I don't see us wanting to move into phase 2 yet at this point, and I don't see the data such that decoupling would make a large difference in how we approach our public health work. So I honestly don't have an opinion on that right now. I think that we're not ready to move to phase 2, and therefore I don't have a strong reason to push for decoupling. I think the reasons for decoupling, excuse me, as Nancy mentioned, are more around funding and other things.
Well, for I'd say the public, when they see Multnomah County and Washington County struggling with their percentages, the fear is that because we're coupled, that we could be pulled back to stay home, stay safe, which in my opinion would be, and probably everyone I know's opinion would be a disaster in Clackamas County. Um, I feel better since we did contact the governor's office last night, and that would not happen without us knowing that. But so on Friday I'll talk a little bit with the. See, they also think that because we're coupled, we have a better opportunity to get some funding that may help us identify the issues better. And you saw the letter. We worked with you guys to get the letter out. So you saw that letter, and we're asking the governor to provide more monies so we can identify specifically or provide additional promotion of safety measures, I guess you'd call it. Uh, and for them, they feel that it's important that we stay coupled until she answers her letter, at least. If she says no, then that's another story. So thank you, and Paul.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit, I think it's a little bit confusing. I think there's another issue here, and I think maybe in a way we're conflating, or at least in some people's mind, maybe there's a conflation of the point of going into phase two or asking to go into phase two versus decoupling. So, if the governor's gonna, for example, use the metrics as was stated early on in this crisis, which I agree with, then which then I'm actually a little confused in the sense that the day that Multnomah County went into phase one, it was the same day that Marion County approximately went into phase two. And we had an application to go into phase two. We were denied. They moved forward, and yet their numbers were not anywhere near our numbers. Our numbers were better then and still better. And here it is today, 2 months later. And who's on the watch list but Multnomah and Marion County are on the watch list. So I didn't see the data supporting Multnomah County going into phase one in the first place. But to add insult to injury, if you will, to couple us all together, and not factor in Marion County. If the logic applies to the three counties, it applies to Marion County. I don't want to drag Marion County, into this per se, but I'm just trying to understand the logic or the lack of, and the lack of consistency. That's really my issue. So, decoupling has another effect, and that is that if Marion County, if Multnomah County is forced to go back to a lockdown, that would require all the three of us going into lockdown. That's not fair either. But really, what I wanted to say, Jim, really right off the bat, is that when you talk Friday, I think it ought to be tied together. The ask of give us the money or decouple us. It can't be both. We can't be. I feel harmed by the fact that we're coupled together with the three county with the other two counties. They got the funding, we didn't, and we're being held to the same standard, but yet we don't have the resources to do it. That's unfair. They need to be tied together. And I don't think, and I don't disagree with Dr. Presence. I think what she's trying to say, maybe we're not ready to go into phase two, but I don't necessarily think that decoupling means we go into phase two. And so maybe some explanation around that. I don't see the harm in decoupling.
Well, that's actually what I said. I mean, didn't necessarily mean we were ready to go to phase two, but I don't want to be pulled back. But the governor has assured, well, first, is that because we're coupled, if Multnomah County goes back, that doesn't necessarily mean we would. But I think that it's dangerous to have us coupled if Multnomah County is pulled back. It could suggest to people that we should be pulled back. So I agree. Uh, anyway, Martha.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think what we're talking about, Dr. President, was, I think, spot on when she said part of this is the public health piece of it. So that's why they're doing that regionally, but the political piece of it is the inequity of the funding. And that's what we're really fighting against, you know. So we need to keep pushing to see if they will give us our dollars directly, and whether or not they will, who knows. Meaning the governor and all those folks, so.
Well, I appreciated our Clackamas County Caucus sending a letter asking exactly that for $45 million, which is what we think it will cost us through the end of the year, rather than having to beg for pennies. All right, anybody else? Well, thank you, Dr. President, and Nancy Bush. Gary may have more for you. I don't know. So, Gary, turn it over to you.
I have one more if you both stay. So, commissioners, I do want to restate what I already shared with you on Tuesday. That was regarding the Clackamas Town Center and the suggestion there was an outbreak of COVID-19 cases at the Clackamas Town Center. That is false. That is not true. Commissioners, you received an email from one member of the public who alleged there was an outbreak, but after reviewing with our public health staff and the management at the Clackamas Town Center, there is no outbreak of COVID-19 at the Clackamas Town Center. If there was, we would investigate it and report that to you in the public, but there is no outbreak, so I'll say it for the fourth time, there is no outbreak of COVID-19 at the Clackamas Town Center. There was some concern when this was raised by you commissioners on Tuesday. It caused some issues with the public and the media who heard that statement and were concerned. So I do want to correct it for the record, as I have already done with the management at the Clackamas Town Center. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, and thank you, Gary, for that. And I just want to renew what I said in Tuesday afternoon in response to that, talking to the management at the town center. That it was not appropriate for us to mention basically an unfounded allegation, and the harm that causes to businesses is, just unjust. And I think we need to be careful not to mention anything unless we know it's valid. And obviously, in this case, it appears as though until it's proven otherwise, unfounded. And I just I don't understand why those emails are coming into us. That's unfortunate. But thank you for clarifying the record, Gary. That's all.
Thank you. So that's my only update. So unless there are any final questions about COVID-19, then I will thank Nancy and Dr. President, and we can move on. So any final questions?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, so thank you.
Just wait, before you go, sorry, I couldn't raise my hand fast enough. Just really quickly, Dr. President, I really, really appreciated the information on the schools. I have been confused about it until this very moment, and I'm hoping that when you come back again, I love the way that our data is looking, because it's so much easier to see how many cases per 100,000 we have and what those metrics are. If we could continue having these updates, it would really help. So I just wanted to let you know, I really appreciated it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Just one comment. I just triggered a thought I forgot to mention, and that is, I'm glad to see that we're putting numbers alongside percentages, because percentages can be misleading, and the size of counties is different. So, if you have a situation where you have one person out of two that has an outbreak, and just as a mathematical example, that's a 50% increase, right? But it's not really an outbreak, so to speak. So we just got to remember that percentages got to be put into context, and that's why I like the number, the balance, especially on this very important issue of schools. We got to have both the numbers and the percentages. And there are some counties that don't even have 100,000 population, and we're using a per 100,000 number, which I think is maybe ought to be revisited as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy and Sarah. We're ready to move on then, Chair Bernard.
With that, I'll announce that the board will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority Board for the next item. And with that, I'd like to introduce our Housing Authority Commissioner, Ann Lindstrom. Ann, you here? I see you there.
I'm here.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
You're welcome.
All right. Ask the clerk to read the Housing Authority consent agenda by title.
The Housing Authority Consent Agenda number 1, resolution number 1949, authorizing the Housing Authority of Clackamas County to execute documents to transfer ownership of Arbor Terrace to Farm Worker Housing Development Incorporation.
Are there any questions? Well, with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Housing Authority.
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to please poll the commission.
Commissioner Lindstrom,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader is missing. Okay, and Chair Bernard.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Ann, for your taking the time to join us today and enjoy that beautiful weather I see you.
Ha 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 ha.
Hawaii.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll announce that the board will adjourn as the Housing Authority Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners for the remainder of the meeting. And Gary, what's up?
Yes, at first, it looks like Commissioner Schrader, you would have voted yes on that prior item.
And I don't know what happened, my link, it's been acting strange the whole time, so, but yes, I'm an aye on that, yeah.
We'll record your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the consent agenda. If Christina could please read the consent agenda.
First, for Health, Housing, and Human Services, it's approval of local subrecipient grant agreement with LifeWorks Northwest to provide evidence-based parenting education classes. Approval of a subrecipient grant amendment number 2 with Northwest Family Services for youth marijuana and substance abuse prevention efforts in North Clackamas. Number 3 is approval of a subrecipient grant agreement with Ant Farm Incorporated to provide CARES funded rent assistance services. Under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. Request by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office to enter an intergovernmental agreement with Washington County, Oregon for maintenance of the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office Motors Unit motorcycles. Under Community Corrections, approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County Community Corrections and Sunrise Water Authority to provide work crew services for fiscal year 2020 through 2021. Public and Governmental Affairs is approval of amendment number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with Multnomah County for use of videography services of Clackamas County on call videographers. Number 2 is board order number 61, approving the renewal of cable television franchise agreement for use of county rights of way by Canby Telecom doing business as Direct Link. And Finance Department, approval of the amendment of the DAS grant number 1003 with the State of Oregon Department of Administrative Services for Coronavirus Relief Fund.
Thank you. Do any commissioners wish to remove or discuss an item from the consent agenda? Don't see any hands up. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please poll us.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
aye.
and Chair Bernard.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Gary, what's up next?
Next is public communication, and today we have Kimberly Dinwiddie from Public and Government Affairs to help moderate this section.
Great, so we're gonna turn it over to Kimberly, I take it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Bernard. I am Kimberly Dinwiddie with Public and Government Affairs, and I will coordinate public comment for today's meeting. If any attendees would like to provide any comment related to county business, you can do so now by using the raise hand feature now on Zoom. That's at the top or the bottom of your Zoom screen, depending on the device you are using. And if you're on the phone, you would like to give comment, please hit *9, and that lets me know you have a comment to pass on. And share, I also have one email to share after we take our Zoom and phone calls. So let's get started. I'm going to bring along Tanya Hunt. And Tanya, if you could please unmute yourself, tell us where you're from, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Tanya Hunt, and I live in unincorporated Clackamas County. I wanted to talk with you briefly today about the Children's Safety Levy. And first of all, thank you for your consideration and support of this serious matter for Clackamas County kids. I was honored in 2011 and prior to that to serve as an executive director of a child serving organization here in the county for about 9 years prior to 2012, and got to be a part of the initial conversations back in 2011 and even a little bit prior to that, and bringing it forward to the Board of County Commissions, the idea that we would move forward with this Children's Safety Levy, and was so excited to get right up to the point of letting voters express their support of kids and safety in this county by voting on that. But at the time, having the Board of County Commissioners pull back right at that last stage, and instead making some promises at that time about continued county funding, which has since, the majority of which has sunsetted, and another promise about bringing it forward at an upcoming election in 2014, which didn't, again, transpire, and there's lots of reasons for that. But now sitting in 2020, we have this really wonderful opportunity, and I'm so proud that the Board of County Commissioners has engaged with this opportunity and supported it. Thinking about the history of this, I'd like to put it in perspective of a child's life. Back in 2011, late 2010, when we were talking about this, if you think about a child in kindergarten, really one of the most vulnerable stages in their life in terms of child safety. And we fast forward to today, where that child is getting ready to enter high school. There has been so much that has transpired for the thousands of kids in Clackamas County who have lived that arc with us while we have been debating and discussing and having meetings and having public hearings and having candidate forums about child safety. And yet we have not taken the action that you all are on the verge of making actually true, and actually making a significant step forward for child safety in this county. So I just, again, want to thank you. I want to say this is long overdue, and yet it is the perfect time to make this step. There is a cost to not moving forward, and I'm so proud that you all are going to resolve that cost and give the next generation of kids in Clackamas County the support they need around safety. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're next going to bring over Kristen Winnie Eaton. And so Kristen, if you could please unmute yourself, share with where you are from, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dinwiddie. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Chair.
Oops.
Okay, Kristen, it seems like you're muted again. If you could please unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hello,
Are you able
there
to
you
hear me?
We are, thank you.
Okay. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. With the exception of the period of my former spouse's military service for the U.S. Navy, which sent us to Tennessee, I've been a resident of Clackamas County since 1972. I am a taxpayer whose home and business are both located in Clackamas County, and am committed to exercising my privilege to vote. As a domestic relations attorney, my career is devoted to safeguarding families and children who are going through difficult transitions, and am frequently appointed by the court to represent children in particularly nasty domestic relations disputes. I'm a parent of 3 fantastic children and a legal advocate for all children and the issues that benefit them, because they are indeed our future. Early in my career, I served as both a guardian ad litem in child dependency cases and as a court-appointed special advocate with CASA while I lived in Tennessee. Since returning to Oregon in 1998, I've served 12 years on the Gladstone School District Board of Education, was a founding member of the board for the Clackamas County Children's Relief Nursery, and am presently on the board of the Children's Center. I hope that my commitment to children, and particularly the children of Clackamas County, speaks for itself. I wanted to attend your meeting today to express my sincere appreciation for your unanimous vote on Tuesday to refer the Children's Safety Levy to the ballot. I echo everything that Tanya Hunt just shared with you. This levy is critical to assure stability and funding to organizations that exist to serve Clackamas County's children. As a staunch supporter of children and education, I strongly believe that children are unable to effectively learn if they are unsafe and experiencing trauma. For that reason, the Children's Safety Levy is critical. It provides direct protection to children to make them safe, and indirect support for education by addressing adverse childhood experiences and building resiliency so that children can do what they need to do in school, which is learn. At this uncertain time of the COVID-19 pandemic, I am well aware that each of you are likely receiving daily contact from constituents and organizations that are seeking funding and other commitments from Clackamas County. I am well aware that resources are limited and that you all commit extraordinary time and effort to effectively managing Clackamas County. For that, I thank each and every one of you. I believe that referring the Children's Safety Levy to the ballot in November is the right step for Clackamas County, as it safeguards the future of our children, because as I said before, they are our future. As a strong advocate for Clackamas County's children, I would like to offer to assist in any way that would be helpful to make certain that the Children's Safety Levy is passed, and hope that each of you will do the same. You have already taken the first step by referring the levy to the ballot, and I thank you again for your unanimous vote to do so.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now going to bring over Esther Nelson. Esther, if you could please unmute yourself and tell us where you're from, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. And I'm also going to speak on the Children's Safety Levy. I am the CEO and founder of Safety Compass. We're a local nonprofit that serves sex trafficking survivors who are children or transitional age youth in Clackamas County, and we're a member of the Safe Kids Coalition. During my time serving here in Clackamas County, we've seen 138 victims identified in 2019 alone. Clackamas County has the highest rate of trafficking survivors identified per capita in the state of Oregon. So this is a very relevant issue to the children in our county. And we see their lethality issues, their lack of access to medical treatment, education, and basic needs like food and shelter being more significant than any other demographic of trauma survivors in the county. I myself grew up in Clackamas County. I'm a local resident currently, and this issue hits very close to home to me personally. And I'm just here to echo my just gratitude for all of your support for this effort. I echo what Tanya Hunt said, that I do believe that not acting in support of this would cost our county. It does cost our county. Trauma impacts people generationally, intergenerationally, and making children a priority and their safety a priority. It ultimately benefits all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling.
Okay, we are now going to go to Samantha Furlow. Samantha, please unmute yourself, tell us where you're from, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for giving me the chance to speak today. My name is Samantha Furlow, and I live in Malala, Oregon. I am so grateful for the work of the Board of Commissioners and county staff. The support you have shown for the kids in our community is moving. I work at Northwest Family Services as the Families Affected by Incarceration Program Manager. I also am the administrator for the Clackamas County SIP Committee. I want to share an example of a youth that has benefited by the services the Safe Child Levy will support. Your efforts allows us to help more youth like August. She would love to come and tell you herself, but she's working this morning. The following are her words. My name is August Wilson. I entered foster care in 6th grade and was where I remained until adulthood. My dad was incarcerated most of my life was not in the picture. While in foster care, I joined the Children of Incarcerated Parents mentoring program at Northwest Family Services. This program made a positive impact on my life. I learned I wasn't alone in my situation. I had a mentor that helped me access cheerleading. This mentor advocated for me when I was made to do online school in order to provide childcare for my guardians. My mentor made me feel like I had someone that was always on my side. I also went on monthly outings with other kids who were in similar situations, and I always felt welcomed and wanted. Northwest Family Services has been an ongoing support for me over the past 8 years. When I was 16, they gave me my first job providing childcare. When I aged out of foster care, I had nowhere to go. I slept on couches for a little while and felt lost. That's when Northwest Family Services connected me to their youth housing program. With their support, I was able to move into an apartment of my very own. I still work at NWFS and at Old Navy. I hope to work at NWFS full-time someday where I can help people like they help me. Even after graduating from the mentoring program, I still feel like I have a mentor with my boss. I have also been able to connect my friends and family with programs for housing, parenting education, and job support. NWFS has been consistently there for me through tough times in my life. August's story demonstrates the difficult circumstances many youth have to navigate. Myself, August, and the many other children and providers I represent are so grateful for the hard work of the Board of the County Commissioners and the county staff on this child safety levy. Thank you for your commitment in serving our community's most vulnerable youth.
Thank you. Martha, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I just, am I muted? Can you hear me? No, you can
Yes.
hear me. I'm not. I just want to thank these folks because the Children of Incarcerated Parents is something that many years ago when I was a new commissioner, it was Debbie Marston who came to me and said, we have to do this. And it was her work. She's has since passed away, but she was a good friend and a wonderful woman. And it was her energy with Rod Cook that actually got that program going with me. And at the time we didn't have the money. So I basically gave up. I donated my raise that year. You know, every year when we look at the commissioners get additional dollars, which isn't going to happen again anytime soon. But at the time, you know, I gave my whole raise to the program to help get it started and off the ground. So that's a program that I've always really been involved in, and I'm so grateful for Debbie Marston, who I know as a friend would have supported this levy wholeheartedly. So, okay.
All right.
Right.
Okay, we have another commenter. We're going to go to Angela Nyland. Angela, please unmute yourself. Tell us where you're from and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Did it unmute?
It is.
Oh, great. Thank you. It's sticking a little bit. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking public input. I completely agree with Commissioner Savas on getting rid of our Multnomah County and Washington County just need to be amputated away from Clackamas County regarding COVID. I appreciate the Clackamas caucus writing a letter to the governor. However, I was disappointed that the final version focused on money. And money is what I hear on all of these calls, is getting money. When our businesses are not thriving. Our numbers are good, and we're staying connected to them just to watch, you know, our numbers go up and down. I understand that. But the theory that Clackamas County, you know, citizens interact much with much of Multnomah County just doesn't hold water. Our numbers have always been less than them. And the way that Multnomah County is allowing all the gatherings without the mask, riots, protests, thousands of people together, their numbers are not going to go down. And the citizens of Clackamas County are paying the price for it. We need to be removed from that connection so we can proceed and we can progress and the citizens can thrive. Because I don't trust the governor. Well, she may give notice. She usually does things at 3:45 on a Friday, and she will lock us down. I don't trust her just to lock down Multnomah County. She's going to lock down all of us, and we're all going to pay the price. People cannot continue with this. We're wearing masks. We've done great in Clackamas County compared with the other two counties. And, you know, Marion County was allowed to go to phase 2. My personal opinion, that's because the governor wanted to call people to the Capitol, and she didn't want to do it during a complete lockdown. And that's why she went to phase 2 with Marion County. It was favored over Clackamas County. It's being shown over and over again. And I really think we need to stop focusing on getting money. She's not handing it out. Letters aren't doing anything. I would like really to see, you know, what can I do as a citizen other than I am on her all the time? You know, giving input, giving feedback, leaving messages on the governor's unidentified voicemail. So, you know, that's not going anywhere. But I think Clackamas County, we really need to step it up, make it public, call her out on it, and get us uncoupled from them. Thank you very much.
Chair Bernard, you're on mute.
Thanks. I will actually be interviewing with Coyne this afternoon, requesting exactly that. So,
Okay.
Paul.
Yeah, I just want to respond. To the number one, to the caller, and also to those who are trying to understand, I think, what the money situation is. And so, yeah, it's all the above, but the emphasis on the money is for a number of things that would help the citizens of Clackamas County. Number one, that would be increased testing ability to help bring the numbers into a more favorable position, that hopefully we can advance out of this crisis sooner. Money that would be available to assist businesses that are struggling, money that would assist families that are at risk of losing their housing. So there's a lot of benefits for the money. The money has to be used for COVID relief. There's a very important purpose or a string attached to that. And we have a list of ways we would employ those dollars in such a way that would benefit Clackamas County and the citizens, primarily the citizens of Clackamas County. So it's a tool. It's a tool that our neighbors have, but it's a tool that we don't have. So, but I agree. It's not just about the money. It's about everything that we have been discussing and much more. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Okay, we have one email that I will read. This is from Mark Schull. He is in the Sandy area in unincorporated Clackamas County. He writes, good morning, Board of Commissioners. Clackamas County must regain its autonomy. The people of the county want to feel like they are in charge of their county with the same autonomy as the people of the other 35 counties in the state enjoy. We have seen some of our autonomy chipped away by our relationship to Metro. Now, Governor Brown has further eroded that autonomy by grouping Clackamas County with Multnomah and Washington counties regarding COVID response, thereby thwarting our ability to get Clackamas County back to work. Clackamas County must be considered on its own merits regarding our response to COVID, not on the situation in our neighboring counties. As I go around our county, it is evident that the people are very conscientious and cooperative when it comes to taking precautions to safeguard against the spread of COVID. For the governor to hobble Clackamas County from getting back to full economy is a slap in the face to our people eager to resume their productive lives. The governor's edicts are not laws. Let the governor know that Clackamas County runs on law and order, not edicts. Thanks to the BCC for your efforts to this date on this matter. Keep it up. Thank you for your time. Stay healthy. Mark Schull.
Thank you. All right, okay, the hands are down now. So that's it.
That is all the public comment we have for today.
Thank you very much. Now we're on to county administrator updates. Anything going on, Gary?
Just a few things, Chair. Yes, I always like to use my time to share the good things and good news happening with our county employees. Today is no exception. I want to honor the staff of our Central Communications Department, or CCOM, our county's 911 center. Our staff has been recognized by the Oregon chapter of the Association of Public Safety Communication Officials and the National Emergency Number Association. This is a joint association devoted to the advancement of public safety communications throughout the state, and it provides annual awards of excellence to staff who deliver life-saving services to our residents. We have several of our CCOM employees who were recognized recently, and I want to honor Michael Smith, who is a regional projects coordinator for CCOM. He worked on a system that better integrates emergency response across 4 different 911 centers and was recognized for his service. 18 CCOM employees were recognized for resolving a call taker staffing shortage that occurred in our region and provided excellent support and training during that shortage. Our director of CCOM, Cheryl Bledsoe, was named Oregon Director Manager of the Year for all CCOM centers and 911 centers in the entire state. And our employee, Ben Postlethwaite, who's one of our 911 call takers, received the association's highest honor, the Lifesaver Award. He was recognized for his handling of a 36-minute telephone call from a shooting victim who was trapped by the shooter in their residence. Ben stayed on the line, helped the victim who was drifting in and out of consciousness, and Ben was able to help that victim signal his location to the police, who arrived and offered a safe rescue for that person. So thank you to Michael, Cheryl, and Ben, and all the staff of CCOM for their phenomenal service every day, supporting our public of Clackamas County. That's my good news for today. Thank you.
Wow, I hadn't heard that. Thank you, Gary. All right, now we're on to Commissioner Communications, and we're going to start with Commissioner Schrader. Mike.
I have a barking dog in the background, just to let you know, but she's in the other room. So yeah, actually, I had an opportunity today to attend the Regional Solutions meeting, and it was particularly interesting because it was dealing with the school systems and the protocols of how they're going to open. And you can get that information on the Oregon Health Authority website, and also on the Oregon Department of Education website. We'll have that available and ready. And the other piece was how are we going to be reopening childcare? Because having childcare at this point in time is a significant worry of all our families in Clackamas County, and I suspect throughout the state. And the protocols for that are going to be released, at least according to the conversation we had at the meeting, or the conversation that was had by other folks. I pretty much listened. I think about August 13th, we should get those things together. And it just reiterated to me what a big crisis we're facing, not only with the pandemic, but in general. Having good childcare is going to be one of the critical components of making sure that people can go back to work, and they can go back to work knowing that their children are going to be safely taken care of. And it also, I think, is a big issue with our school districts, who, again, I think are one of the primary folks who are on the front line to help identify what those early needs of children are, both with food, security, before school programs and after school programs. So I'm very happy that, it was a courageous act to put this levy on the ballot. I want to thank our staff, because it really put them in overdrive mode in a time when they are also very, very dealing with a lot and handling the stress of what we're dealing with exceptionally well. And they really came to the forefront. So they're really the heroes of this. I think it's nice that people are thanking us as a commission, but we are only as good as the people we work with. And frankly, it's their work putting together the appropriate documentation, which is really taking them away from other substantial issues that they are dealing with. Lost me for a minute. That's from using this particular. So I really just want to say kudos to them. And I would strongly suggest that the folks who have said nice things to us may very well want to say nice things to our administrator, our county council, and all the other folks that have worked in this arena to really pull something together very quickly and professionally. So that's what I have for today. And okay, thank you.
Thank you, Martha. And the dogs were good. Ken.
Well, better than normal.
Ken, your mic.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I echo Martha's comments regarding the work that our staff has been doing, particularly on the putting the levy on the ballot for children. To taking that on with everything else that's on their plate and getting it done as quickly as they have, they are to be commended. And we are really lucky to have the quality of people working for Clackamas County that we have. I will repeat what I said at our last meeting for audience members who were not at the last meeting. The impact of COVID on some parts of our law enforcement community has been difficult. The Clackamas County Substance Abuse Program that the Sheriff's Department has been reduced from 50 to 30 residents, and the facility where the women's program was housed is closed, and the men and women's facilities have been combined together with some appropriate separations, of course, and health precautions put in place. So our law enforcement community is working hard to still keep treatment programs in place, but obviously COVID has had an impact on the work that they do. The short-term transitional leave program had to be modified until the returning parolees could actually be released provisioned and have community correction staff work with them and do re-entry services. Our pretrial program has had a dramatic reduction in the number of people who are coming through the program, in part due to the court's limited capacity and the jail's capacity. And that in and of itself is an issue. As you well know, confinement settings are ripe for COVID-19 transmission. So far, we've been pretty lucky here at the Clackamas County Jail, and the staff there have done yeoman service in making sure that people stay as healthy as humanly possible. It is true that our clients with substance abuse issues are struggling more at this time, and we have seen an increase in relapses. So like everyone, we hope to get this behind us as soon as possible. I certainly agree with the analysis that our stats are significantly better than our neighbors, and that the decoupling would be advantageous. But I also know that the funding is a crucial component of our ability to serve our clients as well as serving our public and our businesses. Like most of my colleagues, if not all of my colleagues, absolutely agree that it was grossly unfair that we have not received the funding that our neighbors have received in order to provide the services that we should be able to provide. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Sonia.
Thank you, Chair Bernard. I really appreciated hearing the citizen comment today, our public comment period. I especially appreciated hearing from Kristen Winnie Eaton, who is my former law partner, and she is just such a blessing to our community, having served on the Gladstone School Board and on the various boards that she mentioned. I spent some time this morning looking at some of the documents that I've received from the Children's Center, and I can tell you that as a family law attorney and having impact communications with the services in our county for many, many years, the Children's Center and Clackamas Women's Services both have provided so much technical assistance and expertise to so many people that need their support, and they just really know what the needs are. So I just was wanting to let you know some stats that I received from some documents. As we all know, there are about 2,000 children suspected of abuse in Clackamas County, of being abused, and the lifetime cost, according to the Children's Center, for those 2,000 children is $212,000. So if you look at just that segment of those current children right now, over their lifetime for those children, that's $400 million. That is substantial. The children that suffer from adverse childhood experiences and what the public cost of that is. Another interesting statistic that we received from Simon at Parrot Creek is that, as we all know, about 80% of Oregon's children graduate from high school. I didn't realize that 35% of children in foster care graduate from high school. And we all know the disparities of income earning potential for children that graduate from high school and children that don't. So focusing on these children is really, really important. Another really interesting statistic or number is CASA. We all know about court-appointed special advocates that help children that are in the court system, that are involved with foster care, Department of Human Services. We have 89 children in Clackamas County that are in need of a CASA, and a disproportionate number of them are children of color. So this is another really big service gap that we currently have. And then for the Clackamas Women's Services, 1,500 children enter the Family Justice Center every year, and only 256 of them receive services such as art-based therapy, animal assistance, trauma recovery, social emotional learning, Camp Hope, many other that are services provided through the Children's Services program that they have. Also at Clackamas Women's Services, 2,100 requests for emergency shelter, and only 175 are able to be served. So I appreciated Tanya Hunt's description of those kids 10 years ago that were entering kindergarten at that critical age, and now they're entering high school. We've had a base of support in Clackamas County, but now we have the opportunity, if the voters agree, to really move the dial and provide a greater safety net for those children that are most in need. So as we focus this morning with Sarah present, talking about kids and childcare and school, I was also on the call with Commissioner Schrader with our regional is it called Regional Solutions, Martha? Yes. And the governor's office explaining all of the metrics of childcare. And my focus right now is on our kids. We are at a critical moment for all of the kids in our community, and this is a really, really important time. So I want to thank all my colleagues, and I appreciate the time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul.
Yeah, well, we're on a theme here today, kids. And yeah, I appreciate all the comments, echo the comments that I've made today by everyone, including those of the audience, with regards to children. You know, essentially, that's why we're here. At least I can speak for myself that the reason I really ran for this position and I got involved locally was for the future, and our future are our kids. And we have to be mindful of that. And I know that we get, you know, when we look at things as far as systems, and when I got involved with local government and, you know, on a volunteer basis for this very reason, back 20 years ago, I realized that the system upon us and our neighboring county, Multnomah County, for example, the city of Portland, their assessed value is so great that they have the ability to bring in dollars that they can spread and, you know, for the future, for children, for healthcare, for all of these important needs. And we don't have as much of that. We're a bedroom community. And I listened to the county commissioners meeting 20 something years ago when the county commissioners were talking about, geez, the cost of serving households is great. And the future of our financial picture, or our ability to serve the citizens, is dependent upon increasing our commercial base and our industrial base, because that's how we're gonna come out of this. And it was very forward thinking if you really thought about what their goals and their mission was. And 10 years prior to that, you know, the county commissioners then even realized that and initiated the Sunrise Corridor. Now, Sunrise Corridor doesn't sound very sexy when we talk about kids and children and all those needs, but you know, had we built that, had we achieved that, we would have far more jobs, far more assessed value, and be in a far better, and more housing, by the way, and be in a far better position. That was the forward thinking that our previous commissioners that preceded us had in mind. And we got to realize it is a system. And that is something that, again, I just want to remind everyone. And, you know, and the other thing that is a topic that's coming up is parks. You know, when I think of parks, I think of kids. And I know that nature parks and even today that a lot of us use parks to recreate, to walk, trails, and we get that. And that's all ages, all populations. But you know, nothing giving more pleasure than cutting the ribbon on a park in North Clackamas Parks District and hearing the children play. I mean, and seeing the kids. I mean, that brightens my day. Kids just brighten my day. It really is all about our children. And I hope someday that I'll be able to cut a ribbon in our community, most especially the severely underserved part of the community south of here, where there's a lot of poverty. We have Title I schools, and those kids don't have parks. And I just hope to be able to someday cut the ribbon in this particular area for a park, and to hear those children and see those children be happy, be able to play and thrive, stay out of trouble, all those good things. So, you know, the last week and a half, 2 weeks has been very difficult for me because it made me kind of remember, in essence, almost relive my childhood. And I've avoided getting choked up. I'm going to try and do that again today, but you know, it really is important. Kids, it really is all about kids. And I just want to say that when they're in jeopardy or they're in a trauma situation, it does impact them for the rest of their life. And that's hence we have the ACE score, which basically assesses children. And I'll never forget that one particular time when we were getting the Safe Place underway and we were getting a report on that, and knowing that mothers or parents coming in there with children in tow, were getting the help they needed, but the children maybe were not getting the help they needed. And I really recognize it then. I'm really glad everyone has stepped up to the plate and brought us to this point today. So again, thank you. Thanks for everyone involved, and especially all of our nonprofits and all of our citizens who work on those boards. And the passion that drives that and the purpose is just immense and powerful and needed. I briefly want to talk about, and I'll end with this. The last couple of weeks, we've been working very hard, staff, myself, other elected leaders, and people in the community have been working, trying to follow the ODOT tolling matter of 205. There's committees being formed. ODOT's moving very quickly. Our ability to meet virtually, I don't think is drawing, and it has the ability to do the outreach we would normally have. And so, physical open houses and getting the word out is just not as effective today. I do know that we do have typically a lot more attendance and on some of our meetings, but it's just not working as well as I think it could. So I wanted to, if staff could just post, there's the public comment period just open on tolling, and if staff could post that, and I would encourage people to get involved during the comment period. I'm not sure which staff is going to post that, but I just want to let people know that a lot of our elected leaders have come out and said in Clackamas County that they don't want the toll. They don't support the toll, and they suggest a no-build option for this NEPA study that is being done for tolling on 205. So see that on, just want people to have that in their minds, to participate in the poll, and recognize that this could have a devastating effect on a lot of people in Clackamas County, because while polls are designed, some of them are designed to encourage people to take an alternative form of transportation. We don't have much in the way of alternative transportation. We've been asking for more transit. We were hoping that the T2020 measure would provide additional coverage areas, serving areas that don't have transit, so that including our kids and our parents can have other means of getting to the doctor's office or getting back and forth to work. And we just don't have those alternatives, and they're not going to be coming anytime soon. So with that, I'll end. And are we having a technical issue with trying to get that posted, or is that being posted, that link?
It will be posted, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
You're on mute, Jim. Jim, you're on mute.
Yeah, just learning how to do this. One thing, there was on the news, a number of channels, also some articles in the paper about Mayor Russ Axelrod, quitting. That is actually misinformation. He is considering, and many politicians do, not running again. He is not quitting. And the reporter misreported what he said. So I'd like to clarify that for Russ. I also want to clarify something on the children's levy. Not to suggest that we don't all support you voting yes on it, but what we voted on was support to put it on the ballot. Now, the citizens of Clackamas County, we think that and look forward to, well, I should say I do, support a yes vote on the children's levy, which will be about 15 cents. But next Thursday, we'll be putting it on the ballot. I mean, we will be having public testimony and determining whether to put it on the ballot. But that's really, the fact is that we voted unanimously to move it forward to the business meeting for consideration of putting it on the ballot, to be clear. Wanted to also mention Governor Brown. I realize that many people find what she's had to do very challenging, and perhaps she didn't have the power to do it. but the state of Oregon's emergency ordinance gives her a lot of power. And frankly, if you compare Oregon to other states, we're doing quite well. And a lot of that has to do with the efforts the governor has made. And I also should add that recently, and I mean recently, people have really made an effort to wear masks. In the last 2 weeks, I've seen a significant difference. And but there are still people who show up at Fred Meyer's, and Fred Meyer's can't really force you. I think they should be able to say wear a mask or don't come in, but people do go in anyway. So, and Clackamas County is doing a fantastic job. I gotta thank the residents of Clackamas County for giving us the opportunity to ask to decouple, to ask to move to phase two sometime in the future. But really do appreciate that. And it's funny, Paul, you mentioned children. I remember when we turned North Clackamas Park into a baseball field, one of the people complaining about it who ended up moving because she said that children playing was as loud as a jet aircraft taking off. And I just laughed. I said, "Where have you seen that? Please bring me that information." But I got in a lot of trouble for creating a baseball field, working with Clackamas County to do that. I thought it was pretty funny, but you know, we we could do a lot better job putting building parks in Clackamas County. Finally, and Martha has her hand up, but I'll go to you after I read this one.
Yeah, read that first. Yeah.
The 2020 small grant cycle is now open for application. In an effort to make these grants available to as many communities as possible, we have translated the information and application to 5 languages: Spanish, Russian, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Korean. We have also extended the application period from August 6th to August 13th at 5 p.m. This year, aside from giving priority to projects that will serve populations located in Clackamas Community Prosperity Collaborative, North Clackamas, Estacada, and Canby, we will be prioritizing the following: to fill an unanticipated expense gap due to COVID-19, focus on serving Black, Indigenous, and people of color, encourage partnerships to increase community impact. And please contact Caroline Hill at 503-655-8261 or at carolinehill@clackamas.us. And I assume there's a link on the website to fill out that application. I'm sure everyone doesn't have to call Caroline. Anyway, this is the grant program, which I need to thank the commissioners for the many years of providing these grants, have really played a significant role in our rural communities, providing food services, senior access, and many, many other programs. So thank you, commissioners, for your support of that over these many years. I hope you'll continue after I'm gone and maybe for decades to come. So, Martha.
Well, thank you, Jim. I just want to make a quick comment that I remember the park issue. I was on the commission then. And that park has become one of the primary places now where kids across not just our county, but from across the state hold tournaments and have an opportunity to really have some child prevention, because sports and that opportunity to participate, I think, is one of the best things that helps kids actually. So I do remember that. I remember the person. It was kind of it was pretty upsetting to me at the time that, you know, that kids made noise. I was like, well, yeah, they do. So anyway, I just remember, and I remember you, and I remember the Parks District having chock full meetings about the noise left at the park because of softball. So anyway, That was one of the good things we did in the near past. Right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I remember fists flying actually at a meeting, thanks to the Parks District. No one actually hit anybody, but there were some chairs knocked over behind me at that meeting, and it was quite odd. Also, one of the things I'm going to be asking the governor, uh, about the money is we estimate that if we could get the 45 million that it's going to cost us to go in the end of the year, 7 to 10 million could be provided for economic relief. And that's very important. We're very limited in Clackamas County what we can do. So we right now, in order to receive funds, unlike Multnomah, Washington, and the city of Portland, have to basically collect invoices, send them in, and hope we get paid. And we had an IGA. We were supposed to get the money in May, and we just got it a couple weeks ago. So we are definitely asking and working to make sure Clackamas County, not only Clackamas County, but 33 other counties get the help they need financially to move forward. Next week, the governor will be having a special session, which they'll be looking at their revenues and seeing what to cut. So here's an opportunity for all Oregonians to have some input on what we feel are the important programs to support. So with that, I thank you all. Have a safe and healthy weekend. Bye.